Again, my name is Kathleen McGervey. I represent District 2 on the state board. And I'll be brief. I know you heard 2.5 days of testimony already. I just came to support the bill. And you all know that in adopting the standards, Ohio has ceded its authority to make decisions about the standards and about testing. We've ceded our authority to private organizations, the National Governors Association, the Coalition of Chief State School Officers. These organizations are private and they're not accountable to the public. As a private membership organization, people, their deliberations are private, and people have no input, the public. Ohioans deserve to have their standard writers remain accountable. There are many compelling reasons to reject Common Core. I think this is one of the primary ones. We have no ability to replace a standard writer that we do not like. And so I'll close with that. I know you've heard 2 days of testimony.
Okay, thanks for your testimony. Member of the Committee, Representative Thompson.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your brevity. That's one of the questions, or one of the concerns that was raised is that folks have talked with teachers in their district and they had raised objections to Common Core and had concerns about it. Have you had any problem finding people who would talk on the record about their objections to Common Core? And more generally, can you share with us the experience you've had in terms of hearing concerns about it in your district?
Everywhere I go, now I'm up for re-election this year, everywhere I go somebody asks me about it. I have teachers asking me about it, I have other parents asking me about it, just because again, some of the questions they're encountering, some of the books that kids are reading, they're not what the parents expected. And I realize that, that's a local decision, what books are on the list for kids to read. But at the same time, if we're providing a list, the list should be vetted to be appropriate for the students who are reading it. And I'm sure you're well aware of some of the books that are on the list. That's one of the problems. Again, just the teachers are upset. I have a cousin who's a math teacher, and she retired this year just because she didn't, and she's a great teacher, she's received awards. And she didn't want to have to deal with all this standard changing. So it's everywhere. Everywhere I go, people are expressing their concerns about it.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for that answer. As a member of the state school board, one of the concerns you hear sometimes if you sit on the local school board is, well, we just kind of get spoofed kind of information down from the superintendent who gets information from the Department of Education. As a elected school board member, have you had a concern that you were maybe not getting the information to fully educate yourself on Common Core? Because we expressed this here that we didn't know much about it. Pat sat on the education committee, as Representative Huffman has as well, and so forth here. We didn't find out about it until we figured it out for ourselves.
Right. That's very interesting that you should ask that question. One of the things that the department did was help us out by giving us some talking points. And I wish I had brought them with me, but we actually received a list of talking points in support of Common Core. A common one being that it was state-led. We all know that it really wasn't state-led. So, and the list goes on.
Thank you, Representative Phillips.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for your service and thanks for your testimony here today. You're the second state school board member we've heard from in this series of hearings on this bill. I guess I'm curious, if the Common Core state standards were adopted by the State Board of Education, why you're here, and whether you're taking steps to address that at the State Board of Education.
Right. Well, in 2010, I wasn't on the board, and most of the board members that are on board now were not on the board. So that's one answer to that question. Another answer is that so much legislation has come down that's related to Common Core that in order to kind of undo Common Core, I believe, as others do, that it's really a legislative issue at this point. It's not, the state board can hardly, go back and undo the legislation that's been done related to Common Core.
Thank you. So I've asked a question of a number of other witnesses about the language in the bill, which would make it so the state can't stop sending money if schools choose not to participate in any standards or assessments. So I'm curious if that's what you're referring to, the assessments, and what the other provisions are that are linked to Common Core that you're concerned about, and what other parts of Ohio law around education you think will be affected if this bill becomes law?
Well, all of the technology money, which I guess we kind of need the technology, just the testing agreements that we have with testing companies and so forth. I honestly have to admit, I haven't studied all the intricacies of everything that the legislature has done around this. But I have been told by others who've studied it more that this really, at this point, is a legislative effort. It's a big deal to undo a whole set of standards that have been starting to be incorporated into people's curriculum. And I believe at this point it really is a legislative issue.
Okay, Representative Ramos.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you, board member. It's good to see you. I'm a constituent from Lorraine. Yesterday, as Representative Phillips mentioned, that there was another member of the state school board here, and I asked the same question. This bill requires the state school board to implement an interim standard based on the Massachusetts model for 2 years. Our Legislative Service Commission is required by law to provide us with, to the best of their ability, how much everything we do is going to cost. And they said because of the abbreviated time period in coming up with a new standard, because it usually takes a couple of years, as you know, they were unable, the state school board would be unable to use their normal time frame for coming up with a new state standard. And therefore, they were unable to estimate how much coming up with this interim standard was going to cost taxpayers. They said that the permanent standard would cost $15 million plus. So I'm asking you, as a member of the state school board, and as a member of the state school board who is a proponent of this bill and therefore a proponent of this plan, and as a constituent, what is the plan? What is your proposal? What is the state school board's proposal for complying with this law if we do pass it, and how much is it going to cost the Department of Education, state school board, and people?
Okay, I'm sorry. What was the first part of the question? You had a two-part there.
What I'm asking is what plan do you know to? The school board, state school board, has a traditional way of doing things, of vetting a new set of standards. Due to the time frame outlined in this bill.
So you're saying it would be more expensive?
I'm saying it's not the same. I'm saying we are not, if we pass this as is, we're not giving you the amount of time that the state school board usually has to vet a new standard. So you're going to have to truncate the time frame.
Right.
So I'm asking, A, how are you going to do that?
Can we do it?
And B, how much is it going to cost everyone?
Okay. I'm pretty sure all of the expenditures just that schools are undertaking and that the state is undertaking have not been completed around Common Core. I mean, I think that there are still many more expenses to come related to Common Core. So that's one issue. So if you don't have to go to that, you might take some of that money that you were going to spend on that to convert to the new standard. And I do think that there is some merit to your concern about, about the cost. But I think in the end, what we have is, a standard that nobody from Ohio really wrote. Nobody in Ohio vetted it, really. I mean, we might have had someone on the park board or whatever, but there's really been no input from elected members of any body on these standards. And now we're finding things out about them that we don't like. And so it is expensive, but I just don't see why we should continue to implement a standard, especially when it's not fully implemented and people don't like it.
Follow, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Well, and I understand that. And I understand that you don't agree with Common Core standards. And I understand that a lot of people don't agree with Common Core standards. But the difference is, if we pass this bill, it is going to be your responsibility and the other members of the state school board's responsibility to follow this law.
Right.
And so I'm not asking whether or not, I understand your opinion on whether or not we should have Common Core. I understand your opinion on that you believe we should go to a different standard. I'm not asking about that. I'm asking, is the state school board capable of doing this? What will it cost? Is it capable of doing it in a truncated time frame? And again, what is the procedure and what will it cost? And you're coming here endorsing this plan.
Right.
And,
Right.
and as someone on the school board, you're going to have to carry it out. So I'm asking you, is there a mechanism for
feasible?
carrying this out?
Right. You know what, we probably do need to look at the time frame. I honestly didn't really look at the time frame in which it needs to be implemented, and maybe it does need to be adjusted. We've done a lot on the board, though, with very short time frames. As you know, there's been a lot coming out of the legislature, and we're constantly facing deadlines from new bills that have been passed, and, you know, we make adjustments. So I think that we can do it. I haven't honestly looked extremely closely at, you know, exactly what the time frame is. But we've met a lot of aggressive deadlines.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Byrd?
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for your testimony. My question is just around, I guess, kind of a follow-up to Representative Ramos' and around the expenditure.
Right.
You made a comment that, understanding that there are anticipated additional expenses to come with the rollout of Common Core, that possibly some of the dollars could be reserved in not moving forward with Common Core and put into the transition, basically, an implementation that we're starting to implement the plan. I do not believe that we have the authority to spend Common Core dollars on anything other than Common Core standards. Am I wrong on that?
I don't think that's a correct assessment. I mean, I think you would have to, your body might need to do some work in order to make that happen. The state board wouldn't have that authority for sure.
Follow-up?
Yeah, I guess, we've heard, go ahead, talk about
Oh, I just, if you
that. I don't know what
have
Common
clarification.
Core dollars are.
Well, the money we received from the federal government
Raise to the top.
was for the implementation of this Common Core standard. So
I
if that's
think all that
the,
money's been spent already.
is that correct?
That was
asking
my,
based on the results of the
that was the
discussion.
statement that's what I was informed. So we need more money.
Then I guess the question is, as a school board member, can you verify whether or not we have spent all of those dollars that we received from the federal government?
I can check into that for you, what the federal government expenditures are. I know we had some early childhood money that was fairly recent, so that may not all be spent. And, you know, I can check into that.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, if I could just ask the committee if we could get that breakdown of what was received, what has been spent. I mean, I understand that we don't have projections for what the new plan, the interim plan, or the new plan would cost yet.